is the choke working properly? So most of you guys that have a mower like this, it's not fuel injected. You know, if you're looking at like a residential mower, and whether this is a zero turn or riding mower really doesn't matter in this case. They're gonna behave pretty much the same sort of way. There's two different choke systems you can have. Now let's look at this one real quick. This one right here is at full speed. If I press this lever forward, it says choke. And when you're choking the machine, it's got a butterfly in the carburetor. And again, if I'm a little beyond you, I'm gonna bring this all together. It's got a butterfly in the carburetor, and what it does is it cuts off air to the fuel system. And what it does is it makes a little bit of a richer combination of gas, which allows it to start. I always check to make sure the choke is working. And in this case, that happens to be the problem. When you move this back and forth, what's happening beneath the surface is this has a cable, and there's a cable that runs all the way back to the end of the engine. And if you have this style choke, it's gonna be one cable that can make the throttle go up and down, but it can also choke the machine. Alternatively, you might have a choke that you pull up, and then there's two cables that run back to your machine. And I'm gonna show first this example, and we'll show one that has two different cables. So this lever right here is hooked to this cable. The cable runs up, it hooks to here, and the cable is running all the way around, and it's going to the back of the engine right back here. So I'm gonna show you guys when I'm in low throttle right now. I'm gonna move this cable all the way down, and watch what happens when I move this back and forth on the back of the engine. So right now I moved it up to a point where it's gonna have full throttle, and you see it moving that lever back and forth, and that's what's controlling the speed of your engine when I move that back and forth. Now, there's an extra little bit. I have not been moving it into the choke position this entire time. Now I'm gonna move it into the choke position, and watch what happens on this cable. It's gonna move a different lever up. So I'm gonna do that again. I'm pushing it to the choke position. Now this lever is connected to that little butterfly piece in the carburetor, which is choking off the air from the system. Now notice with my finger, if I press this up, there's quite a bit more travel that you could actually get there. Quite a bit more. And it's supposed to travel up higher. It's supposed to travel all the way up. It's not completely closing off the airflow like it's supposed to. And this is a common problem for it not to press this lever all the way forward. Watch my finger. I'm gonna go ahead and choke this, and I'm pressing up with my finger to simulate it choking like it's supposed to. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn the key. Watch what happens. That right there is a super common issue. So if you've got a hard starting mower or a mower that just simply doesn't start at all, check to make sure that the choke is really doing its job. Now, you don't have to go and pull that up every single time. Actually, to fix and remedy that issue, it's a really simple fix. So notice that there is a little screw right here, and what this does is it's clamping down the position of this cable. Now what you can do is you can loosen up this screw, back it off a little bit, and you can set this cable to wherever you want. So if I move the cable and made it sitting here instead, this lever would travel further this direction. Now, in this case, when I choke it, it actually pulls it in. So I really want it to pull in further. I want the cable to finish further that direction, which means all I would have to do is loosen this screw and pull the cable over and clamp it down. And what it would do is it would pull this lever further, which would in turn pull this lever up to where it's supposed to be. And that's all it's gonna take in this case to go ahead and fix it to make it choke properly. So watch what happens when I loosen and pull this cable. So look how much that moves. I'm gonna pull this as much as I can, which is gonna allow this bar, you see how much it travels further every time I pull this cable over. So I'm gonna pull it as much as I can here. And now I'm gonna re-tighten it, and I'm gonna see how well it starts. Okay, so now, see if it starts without me touching anything. So that fix is that simple. before I dive into the next fix and what to look at, you know, from a fuel standpoint, I want to go in the showroom and show a different style choke system that's also very common, something to look for. This has the different style choke system than what I talked about. So right here is a throttle completely by itself, and then here is a choke lever. Now go ahead and watch the back of the engine when I use both of those. So right now I'm going to move the throttle back and forth, and go ahead and look at the cables in the back of the engine here. See how that's moving the throttle, which does not have to do necessarily with the choke at all. It's got a totally separate lever. Now I'm going to pull the choke up and down, and see that operates off a different system altogether. But you see, it does this in a similar kind of way. It's pulling up this extra lever. This has the same setup we just talked about. So if I pull up on the choke on this one, see it looks a little bit different. It pulls up directly on this little lever, and this kind of help you understand. This is the carburetor on an engine, and this is pulling a lever, and this lever is what's moving up and down. So you want to make sure that this lever is moving like it's supposed to. On the other side of this is this kind of swash plate, and it kind of opens and closes the airflow coming into the engine. This is what allows it to start, right? So you're trying to make sure that this lever is moving up and down. So sometimes maybe this cable is not set up enough and it's only going to this point. And that's where, if you flip that all the way up, it would probably start the engine. I even see a common issue on these Kawasaki engines that sometimes over time they get stuck in this upward position, and so it's choking all the time. So you want to just make sure that the choke part of the engine is working like it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and dive in to that second thing to look for. So remember at the start I said you need fuel, spark, and compression. Well, the air is related to the fuel because there's that perfect mixture that it takes to get it started and leave it running. Let's look directly at the fuel. Is it getting any fuel at all? And here's what to check as far as a fuel standpoint. So how does the fuel system work? Right, so you got the gas tank, right? From the gas tank, there's a fuel line. That fuel line, in this case, is right here. So here's the fuel line. It's traveling through here. There's normally this fuel filter that you're gonna see here, and fuel travels through here. And most fuel pumps look like this. Probably 90 to 95% of fuel pumps I see look exactly like this, where there's 3 different hoses coming out of it. Fuel comes in here, fuel then gets pumped through, and it travels into that carburetor, which is what the choke is acting off of, and it creates that perfect mixture. So typically what I check is I want to make sure that fuel is coming out of this fuel pump and traveling to the carburetor. So what I'll do is I'll just grab some pliers. I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to look. Gotta be careful, you don't want to break the plastic there. I'm going to look and I'm going to see if fuel is squirting out of here. So let's go ahead and see. It's just simple. If I turn the key real quick, I should see a spritz of fuel come out of here. In this case, we know that that part's working, so we're gonna see some fuel shoot out. So fuel is pumping out of there. And you saw there was a pretty good stream that came out. Maybe it's only dribbling out, or maybe it's not coming out at all, and that's when you're gonna run into kind of the second fix you could get. So if that's the case, it's either gonna be this fuel pump itself, which is not overly expensive, $20 to $40, or there could be something in the line causing an issue before that point in time. First, probably what I'd do is I would pull this line over here, and you can get an air nozzle, and you can actually blow through the line once you take this gas cap off. And if you do that, if you blow through the line, you're gonna hear bubbles coming up, which means your line is totally clear, right? If air was able to travel through that. Once you know that's clear, go ahead and put that back on and see if it starts up. If you're still not getting fuel at that point in time, go ahead and try replacing this fuel pump. It's really just 2 bolts, and you see how it hooks in. It's not overly complicated, and that's something I would try next. So I mentioned for the video, if it's cranky but not starting, typically it's related to the fuel side. It could technically be related to some electrical things, like a fuel solenoid that is electrical and can stop the fuel traveling. It could also not be sparking, but when you start to jump into some of these other issues, you need things like spark testers, you need certain tools to check wiring, and it can get a little more complicated. So this video is meant to just give you some of those very first things to check. And of course, compression I mentioned, that's another thing, getting a compression tester, some of these other things. Probably half of the issues I see where they don't start, or I've seen them just running the day before. I definitely hope that helps you, but if you are a complete beginner, we also did a video how to operate a zero-turn mower. Because if you don't do the simple things right, like have your arm bars out or the parking brake in the right spot, that could be a total another reason that your mower's not starting. If you're up in this area, somewhere in the Midwest, whether you're buying a mower or you need it fixed, we can help you out here at Howe Equipment.